Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift. Today we are in conversation with Sarbani Mallick. Hi, Sarbani. How are you?
Hi, Deepshika. Thank you
You're
so
good.
much for the invitation.
You're welcome. It's an honor, and thank you so much. I know you were going through so many things at this time, and still you have taken out time for us. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
we've been on the paradigm shift on this platform. We are doing back-to-back episodes on about autism awareness. So, Saturday we had a parent of an young adult with autism. Sunday we had the young adult Pratibha, and today we have Sarbani Mallick, who is the founder, director, managing trustee of Biswa Gouri Charitable Trust, and they have two centers, that is Bubbles Center and Pragati for Livelihood. So I am super excited. So, to start this journey of this whole evening, let's start with, tell me and the viewers what exactly is autism.
Okay. So, autism is a brain condition, a neurological disorder that characterizes people with certain impairments. This is as per the book that there are three areas in which people have difficulties. One is of the impairment in communication. The second one is impairment in socialization, and the third is very restricted interest and repetitive behaviors. So,
Okay.
these three areas, when you see that somebody has challenges, then one one is you can say um, one needs to go for a diagnosis for the disorder. Just because somebody has these deficits does not characterize somebody with autism, but these are
Right.
just the red flags for people to be able to go and seek medical help. And especially when their day-to-day activities are getting stuck, their learning is stuck, only then we say that it's time for them to seek medical help.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. And would you have an idea about how many roughly people in India with autism diagnosed?
So, Deepshika, this diagnosis is a very, very, a nebulous place, I would say, because this is there is no pathological test for autism. It's very
Hmm.
behavioral in nature. So that's the reason people tend to become very subjective in their looking at the symptoms for autism.
Hmm.
And people have, one can accept, refute, be in denial for a very long period of time and not going ahead with accepting the disorder as it is or the diagnosis, and people keep shopping from one doctor to the next professional, etc. So as far as the number is concerned, our awareness in the country is so poor that we don't have the right number. So whatever I will tell you, it is based, or you can see it is extrapolated from what we get to hear from US. So I'll
Okay.
tell you, say 25 years back when I got into this field, that time the incidence of autism was 1 in 10,000. For every 10,000 children born, there was one person with autism, was what the incidence was then. I'm
Okay.
talking about 25 years back. Presently, the statistics again, but these are all US statistics, which says that 1 in every 68 children born is with
Oh,
autism. So can you
okay.
imagine where was 1 in 10,000 and now it is 1 in 68? And in
Oh,
South Korea recently there was a study which again says 1 in 37. So these numbers of whatever you know or probably get to hear from India is all extrapolated based on this information, that if that is the number they say, and if our population is this, then what could be the rough estimate? So we say
okay.
that for every 500 children born, so they say that every year 11,914 or something people are diagnosed with autism in India every year. But
Okay.
I would
You don't.
not agree, because I know of many people who go undiagnosed and
Right.
do not get the right services because the awareness is very, very poor.
I'm sure because like this number that you're giving us is probably an number in the urban areas. So I shudder to think about what is the plight of the children in the rural areas. Do they even know about autism?
I very much doubt, because mostly, even right now, I will tell you, even in the urban population, if suppose one wants to know gets to the diagnosis, there are very few people who actually get the diagnosis until unless they reach the right place. And I'm not talking about the rural, I'm talking about the urban. And
Okay.
so the diagnostic, even the process is that somebody has to first get a diagnosis of mental retardation, and then they are characterized by the autism. So even the disability certificate, how many people have been issued, if you ask, you will not get exclusively for autism that so and so they are diagnosed as autism. So it is first mental retardation, intellectual disability, and then autism. So if this is the condition of the situation in urban situation, you can
Right.
imagine what it could be in the rural. There everybody is considered as severely retarded. If people have too many oddities, they just call it as severely retarded. So the
Oh,
awareness, education, services, and even if suppose, for example, if you say that one is diagnosed and if there are no services, what happens?
yeah, absolutely. So, children in the rural areas are probably just in their plight, and there is nothing more to
They're just
do
treated
with them.
as people with very severe retardation.
Right. That is so sad. Anyway, so Sharbani, what we'll do is let's get to know the Sharbani Mallick. Tell us about a little bit about your early life and tell us how you got into this field.
Okay. So I grew up in a very, very small town, industrial town in present Jharkhand called Sindri. And it was, I think, the one of the most beautiful places that one can ever think of. It was our country's first public sector fertilizer company in the place that I said, which is Sindri. So it was very cosmopolitan. Everything about it was inclusive, even though we never realized that it is called inclusive. Now, when I reflect and in retro, then I know, okay, these words apply to Sindri. And in fact, I had to look up into the dictionary to understand when I came across the word polarization. I said, what is polarization? I mean, because these are things we never understood because it was such a cosmopolitan place.
Yes.
People, we all grew up just as one should be.
Yeah. Yes.
We didn't know it was great, but now when I look back, I just know that lot of my understanding, values, and belief system have to do with the place I grew up in. And so that was where we began. And then after that, I got married, and I came across a wonderful human being. I'm sure you all know about her because I've seen in one of your interviews about Cafe Arpan. So the founder of Cafe Arpan, Sushma,
Yes.
Sushma has been my friend, philosopher, guide in the last 25 years. And meeting her has been one of the game changer in my life, I would say. She
Wow.
just, yeah, she just got me into the field and
Mm.
just initiating into this space. And then later on, I found my calling. And since then, of course, my family has been extremely supportive. My husband, my son, they were very supportive. But I met people in this field in the last 25 years, Deepshika, who just continue to inspire me. I mean, I attribute to everybody, right from the children I work with, the families, the people, and lots and lots of people I meet who just want to give for the joy of giving. And I would never have found these people if I didn't come into this space. So
Amazing.
each one of them have just come into my life just to set the course for what I needed at that time, and can't thank them enough. So now that you're asking me, I my gratitude to everybody. I mean, they
That is
just
so great.
made me, yeah, who I am today. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. So, Sharbani, tell us about, while we were talking on the phone the other day, and you said, I've had so many paradigm shifts. So, tell us about all of them. We would love to hear the paradigm shifts in your life.
Okay. Okay. So I told you about Sushma, and I don't know how many to name because I'll just probably do a few, but then
Right,
each one of them, as I said, they just change. It's like if you think of a river and it's just flowing, and it just happens that somebody changes the course and the river starts flowing in that direction. So these people have been so powerful uh, and their influence has been so powerful that I just feel that I have just kept growing. So okay, I mean, I'll just be more specific to the
right,
question that you have asked. So ever since I got into this field because of Sushma, and then it so happened that once there was one organization from Chicago who had come to do a workshop, and they said that they are just looking for train the trainer and whether I would be interested in getting trained, but ensuring that I reach out to more people. So I said, that's exactly what I want. I mean, I don't think that I'll want to make a space where few children will get the facility and that will grow. I would like that whatever is supposed to be known, that everybody should know. Mostly the parents should know, the professionals should know. What is the secrecy about it? If everybody knows, then only this all the children are going to be improving, and they will be able to, I mean, reach their true potential. So this organization, they actually trained me at their expense. And I went to Chicago and got trained in structured teaching. And since then, it's, I think 2016, I had gone. And in the last, say, 15 years, I have tried to, I mean, do the best that I can by reaching out to many, many people, families, parents, children, in trying to see how structured teaching as a basic framework, how this methodology can be used to make life of people with autism much easier, and they
right,
can reach their true potential. So like this,
right,
I would just, and then later on, one of my friend, I mean, she was Shirin, and I didn't have any money. So I used to be doing freelancing back in the days. And she said, Shabani, I can give you my garage space to work. Why don't you start working? So that was where it all began. And then many things changed. And then finally, another parent who is also a trustee at our
right.
organization. Her name is
Yeah,
Liz. So her daughter used to come to me and they wanted to invest in a property. And they said, we see your struggle and we would like to invest in the property and give it to you to run the center so that you can continue to work the way you want by reaching out to more and more people. So they invested in the property and they gave me the space to work. So you can say that all the dreams that I had, I got wings to fly because I got the
yeah,
space. And I mean, like this, I cannot just stop telling you about the wonderful people who have come. In 2016, I enrolled for a course with Dhwani Foundation. And that they were training the leaders and the operations to ensure that you build a credible organization. And that was always my dream, that it is not going to be for a chosen few. The organization is going to be very credible because people always look at NGOs with a little bit of suspicion and doubt as to
yeah,
how they operate, etc. And I know whenever we have done fundraising, I could feel that. And here came someone with 2 years of a program to ensure that you build a credible organization. So I mean, it is like so
amazing.
amazing that, and through this entire course of 2 years, I came across people who just helped in making sure that we build that credible organization. And people have come, our entire team members, everybody who works in our organization, they take a lot of pride in saying that we comply to all the rules, etc. So everybody has helped me with these paradigm shifts by giving focus to something which probably was always there, but I didn't know how to go about. And they have come to just helped me and us with moving on to the next step. And they have then moved on, and then our organization. And obviously, I mean, I have come to a different kind of a realization. So each time, I would say, people, and they're redirecting me into any of these spaces, and I have, of course, grabbed those opportunities. Like, another thing
Amazing.
I will say is like the Vipassana meditation. So
Yes.
people who told me about going there, so I could find a lot of tools to be able to remain in the space centered, uh, work a lot on myself, and ensure that, this doesn't get on to me. And each of these people, I will tell you, I mean, are just they have just given. And the best part about, I mean, I can't stop saying that all the children that we work with, they are just in the now. They're so detached. Uh, they don't carry past any of those. They just live in the moment, enjoy the moment, and that's about it. So we are very
Right.
surrounded by very, very positive souls. And
Beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful. That is such a beautiful thing. And so you're probably coming to Bubbles and Pragati. So tell us about how did Biswa Gouri come into play, and how did Bubbles form, and how did Pragati Towards Livelihood form?
thank you, Dipshika, for asking me this, because last 25 years, people know actually Bubble Center for Autism lot more than any of the other projects. In fact, you named two, Bubbles and Pragati, but we also have the third project, which is called Aadhaar. I'll tell you about that. But
Yeah.
so Bubbles has been there from very, very long time, because I used to initially work with the children. We used to have early intervention center. So before early intervention, I used to do freelancing. So then it became early intervention. Then the early intervention became primary, because the children I worked with, as they were growing, they were moving from one phase of their life onto the next, and their needs were changing. And
Right.
that's how the organization from Bubble Center for Autism, when the children of Bubbles became 17 years, we realized that now we just have to move them out to a vocational space.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any other space in Bangalore where we could say that please take all our children and they will transition to another organization. There are multiple vocational centers, but not for people with autism. So
Okay.
where do we send them? And that was like a crossroad where we had to, as a board member, all our entire then board members, we all decided that if not us, then who? Because we have been in this space till then. By 22 years, I was in the field. If we understood them so well, they were with us for such a long time, the families were with us, so now they need to move to the vocational skill training. And that was how Pragati was born. So I mean, not knowing too much about, or you can say we didn't have too many references in the country about how to work with adults with autism. And so we got into it. And it's a lot of learning. Every day it's a new beginning, you can say, learning and growing, and all of us are learning and growing. And in the process, we finally, through the skill training, we have reached livelihood. So the Pragati Center is named as Pragati Towards Livelihood. So we
Livelihood.
could reach the livelihood space as well. And so three of our adults, young adults, are doing internship with Thomson Reuters. And yeah, they're doing a paid internship with Thomson Reuters, and it's so wonderful. And there are multiple other opportunities which are coming up. So these young adults are into the livelihood space as well. So once when we had reached this much, we realized that it's time now to reach out to the others, even though there is a lot of work that needs to be done in whatever we are doing. It's a work in progress. And at no point you can say, I mean, you can say that we are just sprouted, but we wanted to also reach out to others in the rural spaces where people do not have these best practices and they
Right.
don't know how to go about. So that
Right.
was when the Aadhaar project was born, and we got excellent support from the CSR of IDFC First Company. They believed in us, and so the lead CSR of the company, I mean Rachna, wonderful human being who believed in whatever we do, and we were trying, and she was willing to work with us in ensuring that we reach to the rural Karnataka in helping them set up a primary education program. So we have got 4 partners in Karnataka and one in Kolkata. So that's
Wow.
how, so it is the different phases of one's life, and that's how our organization grew, and that's how our outreach grew.
Amazing. Could you tell us, Sharbani, what exactly do you teach the children, the young adults in Pragati Towards Livelihood?
Okay. So, Deepshika, it's a vocational skill training. Now, I know many people wonder as to what vocational skill training is all about and what's a program for young adults. So, it's a very holistic one where we have got 3 domains. One is the digital literacy, the creative arts, and the hospitality. So,
Okay.
these 3 you can say are the pillars on
Okay.
which Pragati stands. But then, along with these 3 domains, we have got the language, the literacy, the physical fitness, sex education, personal safety, and hygiene. So, all these put together forms the main program. And
Okay.
then those who would have probably been in this and has really got a good skill uh, in ensuring, because our final end destination is that they will be in a workspace. So
Right.
whatever the workspace requires, we bring a pullback, we pull it back, and then we ensure that the employability training about being on task, punctuality, promptness, all of those are emotional regulation, which is one of the very, very important component of the skill training program for people with autism and ID, and even in the employability, how to regulate one's own emotion, communication. All of those soft skills are taught under employability training. So that's the entire program all about.
Beautiful. That kind of sums up everything so that they're ready to step out in the world. That is
Yes.
amazing. So, Shabani, tell us that when you were forming these things, I mean, you have mentioned that you had beautiful people and that just kind of scripted your growth, and they all came together and you guys formed all these things. But were there any obstacles or challenges while setting up these centers?
Oh, yes. That's why, I mean, the challenges were all over, and there are. But as I said, the challenges we could overcome because people came at the right time to help us through it. It wasn't anything easy. Just now, I explained to you about when Dhwani Foundation came and we had to enroll. And prior to that, my main focus was that the program of the organization had to be strengthened, and I just thought that program is the key thing. If the
Right.
program is very, very tight, and it is very, very holistic, so always it is the students, the trainees, the young adults, they were the focus, and giving the tools to the families, that was my main focus of work.
Right.
When I came to, and slowly, and then we realized that we wanted funds, and then we were applying to different companies for CSR, etc. We realized that there are a lot of requirements which are related to the organization development. I mean, like the support functions, be it HR, the finance, the marketing, all of this requires certain processes. Now, if that was never my focus, it
Right.
had to be done, I did it. But
Right.
it wasn't that I really spent good amount of time to be able to strengthen those. And as I said, program was my only focus. Then I
Right.
came across our disability commissioner, Mr. Basav Raju, And he said that, Sharbani, this is not enough. I mean, you have to just build the organization with all these support functions. And why don't you explore this? Because Dhwani Foundation is coming up with this as their training. And that was again the beginning. But the 2 years at Dhwani, I mean, each time I went to the class and I just wanted to run away from the class because I felt so much has to be done and I haven't done it. But I don't
Oh,
mean to not do it. And I just felt, and in fact, I told them that I just want to run away from this because so much had to be done, you know.
oh,
But yes, now that I look back, every bit what we went through, uh, I mean, now it looks like, you know, quite a music, but it wasn't at all. I just
okay.
wanted to run away from there to the extent, I mean, that, you know, I had to come back and sit through the burning midnight oil to be able to make sure that we cross those hurdles and make sure that the
Right,
papers are there, because we didn't
right,
know. Like, who
right,
teaches an NGO to become the best NGO, a credible
right,
NGO? We
right.
don't have any courses which is
Yeah.
says that, you know, you enroll for this and then you start an organization and then your organization will be credible. It doesn't work like that. So,
There is a
but
business
we were
plan
very
right there.
fortunate.
There's a business plan right there. You can start training people how to start an
No,
end.
I'll direct them to Dhwani Foundation. They are the best.
Okay.
So
So,
yeah.
Sarbani, so now that, like you said, it was not music, but now, things are falling into place and it is beautiful. So you're a part of all these, you're on the advisory board of all these charitable trusts, like Yash Charitable Trust in Mumbai, then something in Kolkata, something in Trivandrum. So what is the kind of change or social impact that you are looking to make being on, being a part of these other organizations?
So Deepshika, it is all about again a belief that there is a power of coming together, the power of collectives.
Yeah,
So, and as I attribute a lot of my whatever I am today to Sushma and another organization called Samya Trust. So Dr. Aditi, who heads that organization, all of us, or probably wherever I am on the advisory board, it is all the time exchange of information, finding the best practices, what next and what else, because we don't have any references for people with autism, especially the adults. How do we take it? How do we bring uniformity in uh, addressing certain issues? So if Sushma has been able to move to one phase of the people on the spectrum, then why do I need to reinvent my wheel? So I just take it
right.
from Sushma and we just carry on and maybe have little adaptations because it is in the context of Bangalore. That's
Correct.
about it. So this belief in coming together and not trying to be an answer for the various layers of issues that any disorder would have. I think that's the key point of being with everybody, and just not that it is because I'm on the advisory board, but I think this belief in many people have helped all of us to come together. There is another not an organization also. We have come together and we call ourselves co-travelers. So we have the founder is in Coimbatore, another organization in Chennai. So we all have come together and we call ourselves co-traveler. But the basic thing is all about constant exchange of information, best practices, and what next and how to better ourselves and better services and have more uniformity all across rather than just one or two pockets of information available. I don't think that should
Amazing.
be the way.
Amazing. That is beautiful. So, you've won an award on inclusion. So, can you tell us? I'm sure it must be a proud moment. Tell us about that.
So, well, awards are good that it just to receive, but I would say that inclusion is something that I believe it in, where I don't feel that it is inclusion as in like we have to be inclusive. I just feel that that's the way it is supposed to be. So
Mm.
what is new? Like as I said, like I grew up in that place where I didn't know that it was an inclusive place because everybody lived, there was so much of diversity. We never questioned, we never knew that that was supposed to be questioned. We just took things as it is supposed to be. And so again, it, as I said, it is very nice, but then we make a lot of effort in ensuring that it's not just lifting our children to put them in the midst of few so-called mainstream people and just them let them be. So
Right,
again, I'm very fortunate that we are very closely associated with Delhi Public School North in Yelahanka in Bangalore, and the principal Manju is again a wonderful individual who again brought a lot of paradigm shift in my ways of what I wanted to do with inclusion. So she opens her doors to, going and staying there. The first time that we took all our young adults and stayed on their campus, they were having an Indo-German collaboration, and they were having a lot of events. And she said, Sharbani, aa jao and bring your children and be a part of this whole thing. So, and be a part does not mean that we just go and be there. We had our own slots where we performed, they performed collaboratively, multiple things that we do. Uh, so, and we stayed in the Delhi Public School campus. We stayed the night. Next day, we attended the event, and then by afternoon, we came back. So these are experiences, or probably we can provide to our young adults and help so many people get sensitized on what is diversity, because everybody who believes in this come together, then it
yeah,
works very beautifully.
right,
So we have been very fortunate with many people who believe in these philosophies. We have another person called Ambika Subramaniam in very close to our organization. Similar, she just says, in fact, she rather asks, how can we collaborate? How can we come together? And recently they did one literary event, which is called Tempest, where everybody had to do certain, maybe recite a poem, or draw when they're hearing something, and storytelling, etc. So it is an inclusive event, and everybody has their own space, and based on what our children are good at, we just enroll them for those kind of programs, and they all were a
right.
part of it. So but this
Beautiful.
happens when everybody believes in coming together and making things happen.
Very nice. That is so beautiful. Sharbani, you've had so many children, like you just talked about those three young adults who have got their paid internship. Tell us about some success stories that, who have kind of grown with Bubbles and moved into Pragati, and now they're like a total force to be reckoned with, how they've grown and progressed, and, they're like stepping into the actual world. If you can think of something on top of your mind.
Okay. So, Dipshika, I look at it little differently on this aspect of what I call as a success. Um, because, like how, because three of them have moved to a paid internship, which is definitely to be celebrated. But every child who comes to our center, and when suppose the child is all over the space, and mother and the family is having a very hard time, their quality of life is definitely compromised, and then when all of this changes, they're having a peaceful meal, they travel like anybody else, they go and attend concerts like anybody else. I just feel that that's where our success is. Success in the sense of being at one place. This definition has not helped our children and young adults, I'm not talking about the people on the spectrum or the neurodiverse people, I'm talking about people in general. Like, you have to be there. And whether somebody, and earlier times it used to be engineering and medicine, and those two were the ones which defined
Correct.
success. If it is
Correct.
IIT, it is IIM, then it is success. But I've never believed in it. So, as I said, that when the quality of life of any families are really, really, something where we bring about a change, people can do anything and everything like what others would have done. uh, we consider those as our successful moments. And to the extent
Beautiful.
like any parent would have, I mean, there was one parent who once said, I said, just ask me, what do you want? And then she said, Sharbani ma'am, last 9 years, I haven't gone for a dinner with my husband. And when I was asking her for what do you want from us, just ask for one thing that would bring about a change in your quality of life. And all that she asked was, can I go for a dinner with my husband? And because of my child, I can't. But if I can, that I would consider as like a success. And I realized that इतना ही तो मांगा है ना, एक रात का एक
Mm.
meal. And 9 years she has not gone just because, I mean, she's having a child. So what does this skill training and all that mean if suppose they can't go for a meal together? So we said, kuch bhi ho jaye, ye to karna hai. No matter what, this is one thing we will do. Of course, I mean, your child's other skill training and
Yeah.
the rest of it, we will surely work. But these are things that we will definitely, I mean, keep in mind. And we did it. And it was so much, it was, and these are things like we always say to the parents, to the mothers, that parlor kab gayi thi, cafe coffee day kab gayi thi. So, because those are things which are, why should one has to lose just because somebody has a special child? So when
Right.
they do it, we just say that those are our aha moments.
Aha moment. So
Yes.
well put. So well put.
Yeah.
So Sonia, Anushka Vanwari says every small step achieved is every small change is a success. That's true.
So true.
So
So true.
Anushka
So true.
also runs Pranushi Foundation here in Bombay, and she's working with differently abled and special children. So she absolutely understands where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So there is another thing that popped up in my mind, Sharbani. We have the gifted, high IQ, high performance. We have the normal people who have the focus and the hard work and everything. And then we have the special children who are diagnosed and detected, and they have schools such as yours,
Mm.
where there is like a whole section in the middle where always the people in the middle are always stuck, like the middle class keeps crying all the time. So Malcolm in the middle, people who are stuck in the middle, I feel, who could be, somebody is failing a maths test or a physics test just because he has dyslexia, dyscalculia, ADHD, things like this. Why I'm asking you this question is because you have been a special educator for the longest time, and you've done so much, work with the international experimenting and stuff. So what, where do these people go? Like they probably are, they are in their startups or in their jobs, not doing well because of their condition, and they're not special enough to be detected. Their parents or their spouses, like, just focus now, and they are not gifted enough, or so they are kind of stuck in the middle. So is there a way to, probably, I don't know, just if you could say something about this.
Thank you, Dipshika, for asking. So, if we say that this is a neurodiverse world, it is supposed to be that everybody is different. But we constantly look at any individual with a lens where we are judging them. And as I was telling you about that, we have our gradation system. I don't know who started it, but it is there. It is just like the caste system of
Yeah.
Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya. Just like that, we have our caste system in everything.
Right.
So we cannot accept anything who is falling short of that so-called the top.
Right.
So if you didn't do well in maths, oh, then in that case you are like one
Not
down.
okay. Yeah.
Yes, not good enough. If you are, I mean, off late, people have been a lot more open.
Yes.
But even as we were growing up, liberal arts was definitely not something that people looked up to. So if you were good in maths and science, you had to go for something which was engineering, whether you liked it or you didn't.
Absolutely.
Because there was a pressure, and I'm sorry to say that the pressure still continues in many, many families,
Yes.
because we come across so many individuals and we see them with their suffering. So this
Hmm.
middle class that you are talking about, who are the so-called average, who are not the gifted and who are not the special, and what happens to them? It's a neurodiverse, it's a continuum. I mean, in that everybody has a space. I mean, we all have come with our own script and narratives,
Right.
and
Right.
there is a way, but you have to allow people to blossom. But if you are constantly judged and made to feel incompetent, and your deficits are all the time highlighted, then in that case, what do? So you land up knowing that I'm not good enough at all
Yes.
times, and
Yes.
you're being judged. So you, if it's there's a saying, na? So if you judge a fish by the way it can climb a tree, I mean, you will always find the fish to be a
A
disabled
failure.
person.
Yeah.
So this middle class whom you are saying, you have to allow them to try, but people don't allow them to try because they push them to do things which are tested and so-called, um, you know, supposed to be um, mainstream, or
Yeah.
something that people look up to. So in
Yeah.
the process, what happens? This middle class doesn't blossom. They have the chance to probably move to the gifted, because there are areas that individual will be able to go and
So true.
blossom. Like, a few years back, we were staging, all our 50 individuals on the spectrum. Every year we used to do theater. So the last one, when we were doing Jungle Book, and one of our student, he climbed the rope ladder because he was Bagheera, and he climbed the rope ladder on the stage at a speed that you cannot even imagine. And we had to tell, because he was so fond of that climbing and he was so good at it. He did it up to the 10th rung, and we had told him that moment you count 10, you stop there. That was the rule that was made.
Huh.
And I just said that if you judge me by the standards of who can climb that rope ladder, then obviously I am the one who is disabled, not him.
Right. Right. Right.
With 1,000 people sitting in Chaudhary Memorial Hall, and he's climbing the rope ladder at a speed that you cannot even imagine. How many
Wow.
of us were able to do that? So this uh, allow, or you can say, this abilities which people have, which we may not be able to see where it leads to in becoming a livelihood. That is some that does not, if suppose you can't find out that connection to the livelihood, that does not make one to say that that skill is of no good, and
Right.
hence that person falls in the middle, or on the lower rung, or somewhere not good enough.
Not good
So
enough.
this continuum of, that is what neurodiversity is all about. Everybody has
Correct.
a place in this entire world,
Correct. They
and
just
we
have
are
to find
supposed
their calling. Yeah. They just have
we
to
just
find
have
their
to
calling.
allow people to find their calling and blossom.
Absolutely, that is so true. So, I would probably like the next time you special educators are in a seminar or something, you should probably make a rule to put a learning disability test in the fifth standard, so everybody will figure out what they're good at, what they're not good at, and they can drop the subject. I think there are changes also in the education system. It's becoming more skill based, so which is a good thing. I think it's going to take time for with the pandemic and all that. It's going to take time to
Yeah.
settle in, but I think it's the beginning. So I'm so happy. So
Yes.
Sharbani, like the other day, I was telling you that there is so much goodness like through a paradigm shift. I'm meeting such good people, and by reference of one to another, I'm meeting so many good people, and I'm thinking that pehle zamane mein kya hota tha that Bhagwan had to take an avatar and come, be it Jesus Christ, Ram, Vishnu, Krishna, I mean Krishna and Muhammad and all that, and Gautam Buddha. And now what he does is he just makes people like you कि okay जाओ और मेरा काम करो. I mean, I have total respect for the goodness that comes, that I get to know about on this platform. It's amazing. So and
नहीं,
thank you,
ऐसा नहीं है. You see,
Sachi. God
नहीं नहीं
promise.
है. That is because, if see, in your profession, what you are doing is getting people I mean, you are interviewing them. What is your intention? Because you want to inspire others. So there are such wonderful things that each one of us are probably trying to just reach out to another person. It is
Right,
nothing but compassion, empathy. Those are the ones which are driving all of us to reach out to another person. Especially the
beautiful.
pandemic has pushed us into
Right,
realizing that, what is compassion, what is empathy. People are coming and just helping just because of the joy of helping, because that is the right thing to do, not
right,
because they'll get a award or something like that, but that's the
right,
right thing to do.
right.
So,
That is so beautiful. And I must thank Mr. Pravesh Pandey, who's given me your
oh
reference,
yes,
and he has such kind words to talk about you and your people that work for Bisi Bisi Uta, help in the
he's
kitchen and
another
everything.
paradigm shift person. Yes, he has been so wonderful. His thought process, his wanting to reach out to our young adults to give them opportunities of livelihood. We used to be working with him when he was in Big Brewski. That time, BCBC Utah had not even started. It was nowhere in his thoughts, probably back then. And he was still trying to see how we could be working together because he wanted to. And then this
Wow.
pandemic hit, and then he says that this is what I have come up with, opportunities, and we were so excited. And we're just waiting for pandemic to just normalize the situation so that we can get back into what we always wanted to. So his mission and our organization's mission, it is just the same, where we want to
Beautiful.
see our young adults to have a life of dignity.
Right. वही मैंने बोला ना अवतार all you people are little avatars of kindness, and I think you guys are doing an amazing job. So before we
Thank
end this,
you.
I just want to tell everybody that is joining in from or who will be watching this interview from Sarbani's side, please follow the Paradigm Shift page. We bring you amazing, inspiring, motivating stories of people who work towards the betterment of the society. And everybody that is joining from the Paradigm Shift, we will be tagging Sharbani's Biswa Gouri Charitable Trust in this interview as well as on
Thank you.
Instagram. So any kind
Thank
of
you.
help that anybody can extend, please do that. They have a website. We will be putting the website as well. So please do that.
Thank
So,
you.
Sharbani, one last message for our viewers.
Um, I would say believe in people and their potential. If you see a seed, would you believe that ek aam ka gutli, one mango seed, has the power to become a big mango tree and to give
Never.
so many fruits?
Never.
It's a miracle of life, right?
Yeah.
So believe in that miracle when you see another individual, another child who comes with same amount of potential. Believe in them and allow them to grow by putting
Correct.
water, allowing them to get the sunshine and the soil, and you will see the best in that individual will come out. So allow people to grow, give them that nurturing, and believe in the neurodiversity and celebrate neurodiversity.
Amazing. That is so powerful. Such a powerful message. Thank you so much. And Rajiv, Dr. Rajiv Kamath, he was there. Sarbani, Sarbani ji, very interesting and informative.
Thank
So
you, Dr. Rajiv. I know you have moved to Nischinta, and I watched Pratibha's video. Thank you so much for being
that
here.
was beautiful. That was beautiful. So thank you so much, Harbani, for doing this. Thank you so much, and
Pleasure.
we will stay connected, and we hope to see a lot more of you on the paradigm shift. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Dipshika, for the invitation.
Bye
Looking
bye. Take
forward
care.
to it. Yes, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.